Good morning, Leaders in Learning. Today we are talking about visualizing while we read. For the last almost 2 weeks, we've been talking about reading skills that good readers use while they're reading to help them better understand what they're reading. So today it's visualizing. So the story that we read today, I'm going to strictly read aloud. I'm not going to let you see the words because I really want you to listen, be a good listener, and listen to the story. And we're going to kind of start our notes. And we're going to fill in some things that you visualize based on what you hear from the story. So visualizing, what even is visualizing? When I say the word visualize, you should kind of hear that word vision. And we know that vision means what we see. I'm going to draw some little eyeballs here. What I can see. The difference is we're talking about not what we actually see like in a photograph, but what we see in our mind as we read. So when good readers are reading, we have to, when we read, we must listen. To the words, and create pictures in our mind. That go with those words. Okay, so we're creating pictures, we're creating our own pictures. That's why when you develop this skill, you become a little bit less worried about whether the book you're reading has pictures or not, because you start to create your own pictures in your mind. And I think sometimes those are even more fun than the pictures in the book. So, in order to do this, while you're reading, you need to think. So we have a couple thinking stems, some kind of questions you can ask yourself while you're reading. And this is what I want for you to do today while I read. I want you to kind of fill in the blanks with answers that go with the thinking stems from our story. So maybe I am picturing, and there's a good one for today for this. I am picturing, I can imagine, I can see, smell, hear, taste, or touch. So today, while I'm reading and you're listening, I want you to draw a picture of what you're picturing while I read. If there's something you can see, smell, taste, hear, or touch based on what I say, draw that to go with our story. Okay? So, and you can do that down here at the bottom if you want, instead of on the side, that gives you more room. So these are kind of some of the thinking stems that we can use to help ourselves visualize. And the name of our story for today that is not cute, is it? Is The King of the Polar Bears. That's a capital B here. Okay? The King of the Polar Bears. So as I read today, I want you to listen and think to yourself, what am I picturing? What can I imagine? What can I see, smell, hear, taste, or touch during this story? And at the bottom of your page, I want you to draw a couple sketches of those things. You can use words too. That's okay too. Words or pictures, because I know some of the visualizing will be part of the setting, and that might be just easier to describe with words. But pictures are fun in visualizing because it's actually what we're doing. We're creating the picture in our head. So I'm going to read, and I want you to be listening and thinking about these things. When the moon fell away from the sky, and the sun came to make the icebergs glitter with the gorgeous shades of the rainbow, 2 of the polar bears arrived at the king's cavern to ask his advice about the hunting season. But when they saw his great body covered with feathers instead of hair, they began to laugh. For this was not their great and wonderful king, one who could rule the polar bears. This was a silly bird king. So one said, "Our mighty king has become a bird. Who ever before heard of a feathered polar bear?" I am picturing a feathered polar bear. Oh my goodness, it is a little bit hideous, huh? This remark made the king very angry. His people should not make fun of the king. He advanced upon them with deep growls and a stately tread. The narrator is describing how the king went toward the 2 polar bears with deep growls and stately tread. How is the polar bear feeling, the king? How is he feeling? Stately tread. Kind of imagine and visualize him walking with that strut, and he's growling. He's very angry, right? It helps me to hear him and to see him the way they described that. For he may be covered with feathers, but he still acted like the king that he was. And with one swift blow of his monstrous paw, do you see it? The proud king knocked the mocker lifeless at his feet. I'm thinking that a mocker must be somebody that makes fun of, because that's what they were doing, right? They were making fun of the king. And I know the suffix les, less, means without. So he must have killed that polar bear for making fun of them. He knocked him lifeless to his feet. The other ran away to his fellows and carried the news of the king's strange appearance. The polar bears quickly called a council. The meeting took place on a broad field of ice, where they talked gravely of the remarkable change that had come upon their monarch. Was he still fit to be a king? That was the debate. So we started our story in the cavern, and a cavern's like a cave. Now we're on this broad field of ice. So I'm hoping that you're visualizing what you see, the setting, and as it changes. He is, in reality, no longer a bear, one said. Nor can he justly be called a bird. But he is half bird and half bear. Another visual, right? And he cannot remain our king. Then who shall take his place? Asked another. He who can fight the bird bear and overcome him, answered an aged and wise member of the group. Only the strongest is fit to rule our race. There was silence for a long time, but at length a great bear moved to the front and said, "I will fight him. I, Wolf, the strongest of our race, and I will be king of the polar bears." They voted. The others nodded assent and agreement. Then they dispatched a messenger to the king to say he must fight the great wolf, and it's Wolf, W-O-O-F, not Wolf. Wolf, it's his name, and master him or resign his sovereignty. If he lost, he would no longer be king. For a bear with feathers, added the messenger, is no bear at all, and the king we obey must resemble the rest of us. Another clue that we know it's wolf and not wolf, because he's one of their own. And a wolf is not a polar bear, is it? "I wear feathers because it pleases me," growled the king. "Am I not a great magician? But I will fight, nevertheless, and if Wolf masters me, he shall be king in my stead." Then he visited his friends, the gulls, who were feasting, and told them of the coming battle. So again, we have a change in setting. The story started in the cavern, okay? We moved to this big field of ice, and now he is nearing the water where the gulls are, and they're eating their fish and they're feasting. I'm kind of wondering, talking about good thinking, good reading and thinking about reading, I'm wondering if the gulls realize he's a bear since he kind of looks like a bird. Because you'd think that they might be scared of him if they knew he were a bear. Let's see. I shall conquer, he said proudly, yet my people are in the right, for only a hairy one like themselves can hope to command their obedience. The queen gull said, I met an eagle yesterday, which had made its escape from a big city of men, and the eagle told me he had seen a monstrous polar bear skin thrown over the back of a carriage that rolled along the street. That skin must have been yours, O king, and if you wish, I will send 100 of my gulls to the city to bring it back to you. So, I think I just answered my own question that I was wondering about. Sounds like the gulls know he's a polar bear because they just said they think they found his polar bear skin. I want you to remember to write down or draw some pictures of what you've pictured about the polar bear king, the setting, what it must look like, what he must look like, and then I want you to come to class with an answer or some ideas to discuss about this question. What conclusion, and the word conclusion just means what do you think now that you've read what you've read, you've heard what you've heard, what do you think about why the king has feathers? Okay, we just learned that the eagle saw a monstrous polar bear skin draped over a carriage rolling from the city that they think is the king's. What conclusions can you come to about why the king has feathers? Okay, 2 tasks. What have you visualized in the story? What have you pictured? What can you imagine? What can you see, smell, hear, taste, touch? And why do you think the king now has feathers? See you in just a little bit.